gel, they don't win tournaments. That's a problem. So I have two angles that I'm worried about with this squad. One is I do worry that psychologically what happens when you don't win that many times. I think it's actually a really underrated thing about like people who are becoming second is in a weird way. It's people think that's mental weakness. Bro, it's actually really hard to keep getting back to finals and not winning them. You know what I mean? That's what takes a toll on you. Like, from knowing players, one of the things that really happens, you do things like, you know, I said earlier, how if you keep getting beaten by like a Vitality, you think, right, next order of business, you prep for this Vitality. So let's get in the demos. Well, then what happens? The joke is you go super deep on that. Then the next tournament, you overlook some team in the like 9th place. You know what I mean? Like, some teams comes out of nowhere, and like in this case, Falcons won. How do you barely any information on them. They do have a bunch of players. The Falcons were back at that event. Their firepower was crazy. That's the Falcons server. And also, again, I'm sorry, I don't believe Kicks at his world level fucking calls. Like, I think people shoot people in the head. Like, it's pretty hard to stop that. You can't if you're fucking playing to the best. Generally, I do worry. They can't be guaranteed to make the final. There's a little bit where I worry that it's great. I'll also throw this out there. I do worry, like you said there, everyone always targets that every fucking time. I get it. Every time they lose a big game, you will always give a flag, has a hard time. But I actually agree. I also think he has that flag which is when the game's gotten stale and the game's advanced tactically and the team's losing, I think they don't choke by doing nothing. They do the opposite. They do too much. They try to break it open or go for some crazy play. And sadly, you can feel that the mother aggressive right from the So I do think he is the ultimate bellwether.
That's so.
The best mouse games and
just to add in is that, from my understanding, kind of cool like community, like Zoe can actually help the secondary calling quite often and is especially on the T side more aggressive. Like he's the one that's hunting and asking for picks or what he wants to do. So I do agree with you as well in the fact that maybe he does too much at times, but what I will say is he's not a player that seems to protect his stats. There's actually a lot of players in the top 10 that you can see ways in which they could win rounds, ways they could be aggressive, but they never do it because they know if they have a bozo death or a bad death, it's going to tank their stats. And some of them almost constantly look at those stats as like a reflection on how good they were, instead of how impactful they could have been if they had taken or taken an aggressive route. So that's where Xerxes is kind of selfless. I agree with you, you know, he's the one sort of player that seems to have a killer instinct to get back to the game at times, but you are right as well in that eventually tries to kill too much. I also
when you play the roles, you're never going to get one. But the problem is, if you think of like the not only this guy used to have the stats used to be very good, but you could just bank on him all the time. So like one shot that you shouldn't win. The problem is, again, you can't actually always bank on that. Like sometimes that's all around now. That's a different maker as well for me. I used to think he actually was at one point in time. He said that like Hawkins and all when they so horny to get him. He was in that territory. He was like he was in Australia. You could see people were scared of him in a shot in a 1v1, you know.
That might be a change of balance. That's always something I've talked about as soon as Sphinx came in. I feel like there's got to be some treading on toes. It's not going to be as simple, especially with some of the bigger frags. Some sort of something that, of course, Rachel is better this year. Saying that we really have credit roles. Yeah, Jimmy was cool. He's also decently for a lot of people, just a target in terms of you included, but a lot of it I do think, I've phrased it before, is more of an expectation. Saw last was so great. They wanted more of that. A teenager who has to do a lot with his roles in the film. Yeah.
It's essentially, you know, Jim Fallon made out to be almost like a Tenier type player. You know, like that type of caliber and firepower and impact. playstyle is different. But we're clearly great fast last year, and then he turned into Rocket. You know, essentially that's the guy where, you know, he's still doing okay, but he's not performing to that stage.
By the way, I don't know about you guys, but I also have a factor where I know that, like, obviously the finances aren't public, hopefully management are knowing this. But when I look at this team, I'm actually not as confident as I am with, like American Spirit now, even Phase. When I look at the names, like, you made these names, they became names on yours. It's not a giant org at the moment, they're not suspended on. It's actually incredible that they're actually at this position where we're even having this debate. Why aren't they winning all the tournaments and beating White Hawk every time? It's actually good to be in that position. Like, that means he killed it. This is like, if anyone watched the Premier League last season when you had I can't then go to them like, they failed, they didn't win the league. What do you do? Where's your time? You just signed this guy. Why did you sign Isaac? I do understand that they're also in a tricky scenario. So like, look, I have chalked a lot. Maybe they could have won some of these titles. I actually really like them. I think actually they are a fantastic team. I do think they put the game on the level these names should have, this team should have. I also think they're in a top spot because you do know this is something that they probably do. It is conspicuous that rumours that Mouse. I've never heard it. I've never heard it from the speaker, by the way. There's never a rumour of like such a level of luxury. They're like, I know what it's from Harden. In Mouse, their whole shit's like, try again. You never even hear a rumour that they're gonna, like, they were never in the mix to get a simple or a fuck. They're not even the next to get a team. Trying to get an IGL, whatever. In a weird way, I that's how it's works.
Yeah, they're almost like a slightly more advanced. Almost the same as, you know, they're essentially like an academy project that actually do very, very well. Except this one is supposed to win champions.
Yeah, we'll see what comes out of Mouse because they have like maybe this group will produce the next shooting. We go for that.
I'm just gonna lock in.
I'm scared right now because here's the problem. You're now at the point in the draft where they so whatever you pick now,
I'm gonna pick an underdog. I'm gonna pick an underdog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're gonna do the Sophie's choice.
Yeah, those are definitely.
Yeah, go to the wall one.
I'm thinking Liquid. And it might feel like the wrong time, the weird time to pick Liquid, but I look at this field of underdogs, there's a lot of weakness within this field. There's also other picks that I think you guys are looking for. I'm picking Liquid because I feel like I was going to end up with the listen, we went on to Counter-Strike, we talked about Liquid. Me and T have this other show where we're talking about these do well. I will say, from the Bounty to the Esports World Cup, to be honest, Liquid don't look given the way that the online event seems to go, given the exits they had from below other events, it does feel as though something inside of Liquid maybe broke when they lost the VP. They are attempting, it does feel like they are fixing things in a way that does reflect kind of positively for now, maybe negatively for nerfs. It does feel like the roles have been swapped over a fair amount. Nap is back into form, so to speak, but with that, other critical opponents, that an entry slash lurker slash space taker finds great timings. It does just feel like it actually doesn't get given the space to actualize any of that. I've missed that since the heroic days. I've missed that nerd since Ed. Where they made it work, but this Liquid does seem to be creating actually a lot more effectively, and also Twist is just also hitting even through their dark periods. But it does feel like it's contributing. Like they play more attack based. They almost feel like they simplified the Liquid side, which I think is benefiting in the short term, and I can only hope that build into this tournament as well. Because Liquid team should be good given the pieces that are on the roster. Bar ultimate as like, oh, can he actually be an X-Factor offer? But he does enough. Wrestling 4 actually should just be strong. So I'm with Liquid. I'm backing the redemption arc for them, at least in this